Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to B-Sides and Beers. It's good to see all of you. Tonight we're doing another episode of The Crate Dig. So in a little bit, I'll be joined by Walker, who is a really talented artist who currently resides here in Chicago. I met him at a local record store, and we got to talking, and he agreed to do this, and has put together a very chill, relaxed, cool Saturday night playlist. And I know this is B-Sides and Beers, but I might be switching over to an old fashioned here pretty soon. Walker's tracks have been featured on all kinds of Spotify playlists like Fresh Finds, Alternative R&B, and Study Break playlists, as well as Selection Radio, Majestic Casual, and Ones to Watch. His debut EP, My Love, just came out, and we're just gonna start today's show with a track from that called Sweet Thing. And then we're going to talk to Walker. All right, here we go. Here is Sweet Thing. All right, that was Sweet Thing by Walker. So let's just give Walker a warm welcome here. Thanks for that, Walker. I love that tune. I've been digging this EP so far.
Thank you, man.
Really tight, man.
Thank you.
One thing I noticed about you right away is your music just drips soul, man. It's really incredible stuff.
Thank you, man. That's really nice. I'm influenced by soul stuff a lot, and so I'm glad that comes through for you.
So, how did you get started? Like, what were some of the artists that made you kind of want to pursue music?
Well, I started by just learning how to play guitar. That was like my first thing I was really interested in. And I was really into like indie rock stuff, like the Strokes and Phoenix when I was, like 15, 16 when I started. Sure. And then when I started to learn how to write and sing, it was maybe more people like D'Angelo or John Mayer or, Al Green, Stevie Wonder, like soul artists or artists that are really influenced by soul music. So yeah,
it's funny that you mentioned Stevie Wonder, because one of I can't remember what track it was, but right after I met you, when I looked you up, one of your songs I was getting some major Stevie Wonder vibes from. So okay. It's really interesting.
Now I'm curious which one it is, but maybe we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, I'll definitely go back and listen to it, but
okay.
I'll see what I can talk about. So Stevie Wonder must be somebody that you've listened to probably a good amount.
Yeah, I mean, I think I grew up with like Songs in the Key of Life and his hits. I heard those a lot. And then once I got into college and I was studying music production, I went really crazy for his whole discography. So I've listened to all of his classic records a lot.
And I can definitely hear how it inspired you. And you've picked the first track on today's playlist is a Stevie Wonder track. So do you want to maybe talk about why you picked this specific one?
Well, it's an interesting one. It's called If You Really Love Me. And it's off of Where I'm Coming From, which was like his first record where he was really like trying to do like a kind of a concept record and like really get involved, because I know he was really inspired by the Beatles and Bob Dylan and people that were like having these really sort of heady, interesting concept records. And I just always loved this song. I think it's one of the strongest melodies he wrote throughout his whole career. I think it's fucking beautiful. And there's a section that's rubato. There's a section that's out of time. The verses are literally out of time, which is beautiful, Yeah,
it's wild, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's just dive into this first block of songs, and then we'll check back in with you and keep awesome. Talking about music. Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us, Walker, and cheers, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. All right, that was Mac DeMarco, This Old Dog. One thing I really like about Mac DeMarco is he does a lot of he self-produces his own music, and I think, Walker, you kind of do the same, right?
I have a similar approach. I brought a friend, by the way. This is my roommate and friend, Jonathan, here. He's just enjoying the tunes with me.
Welcome, Jonathan.
What's up?
I have a similar approach, yeah. I've been I started producing maybe before I even started songwriting, although it's hard to kind of divvy up what's what, but Yeah, and I've sort of been producing my own stuff for a long time. And over the years, I've become interested in doing it the way Mac does. And I actually just recently bought a tape machine to kind of really get into the analog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
yeah.
It's I feel like a lot of songwriters have kind of done that. You know, there's definitely Paul McCartney. You know, a couple albums it was just on his own, and it seems to be pretty fruitful. But something that I've always kind of wondered about this way of making songs is how do you know when you're done?
I think like I'm still in the process of like trying to learn when it's done because I still feel like I'm somewhat new to it and I'm always trying to keep an open mind and trying to learn about it. But
Hmm.
I think one thing that I would say in that regard is it just kind of depends what you're doing it for. Like, I don't really make songs to do the best possible thing that I can do. I'm not shooting for perfection. I'm just doing it because I enjoy it and it helps me kind of go throughout my day. And so I try to let go of a song when I'm done with it. When I'm done with it,
Sure,
the song's done, kind of. Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you like share pieces of it with anybody like as you're working on it to get input? Because I know like you know when a band goes into a studio, there's a lot of voices that come into it, and you know maybe not every suggestion is a great suggestion, but do you ever reach out to just kind of like you know get a collaborative ear on it?
Yeah, I do have some people that I go to and ask for input from, but for the most part, I would say I tend to take in a bit less feedback maybe than the average artist. I tend to kind of just stay in the zone, finish the song, and then when it's done, I share it with people because I love sharing my stuff. But yeah, I don't solicit a ton of advice.
Right. I always thought, I think maybe it was George Harrison or somebody. There was a songwriter I read an interview of, and they were talking about when a song strikes them, they just have to get it out, and like you can't just like put it aside, you know, come back to it. If the muse is speaking through you, you need to let the muse speak through you, kind of. Is it um, does that happen occasionally? Or?
I don't know if I'd put it that way, but I tend to work really fast. I tend to
Okay.
not work on things in multiple sessions. So it's like I want to make a song and I make it and then it's done and then I kind of move on.
Okay.
I don't tend to like, sit down multiple times or anything like that. So in a way, yeah, I think I agree with that.
Do you when do you kind of start the same way each time, or is it like you know do does like let's say do you kind of hear like the drum track and then build a song from there, or do you hear in your head like a guitar lick and then build it from there, or like what's the process of kind of building a song from scratch for you?
I think one thing I've learned for me is that it can really happen any way. So sometimes I'll hear a melody and an associated lyric or sort of lyrical concept in my head. Other times I'll sort of see an image of what I think the production of the song will look like in my head. Other times I'm just on the couch screwing around with the guitar and I find something and then I'm like, whoa, this is that. So it's kind of any way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, could you take us through? I think the next track we're going to play of yours is called "Peace of Mind." Could you maybe take
Mhm.
us through how this came to be?
Yeah, man, it was a hell of a day. I had just made the other half of this EP, My Own Best Friend. I'd made that like sort of a few days before, and I sat down and got going on something. And by the end of the day, I had made this entire song, lyrics and production and all the instruments and stuff in one day, and it was just so fun. So came about so naturally, and yeah, and then I listened to it back and was like, well, got to put this out. I really like this, so yeah, that's more or less the story. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just start this next block of songs here with Walker's "Peace of Mind." All right, and then we're gonna check back in with Walker and maybe play a little game toward the end here. So
All right.
we'll
Sure.
we'll enjoy. Thanks, guys. Just judging on a few of your picks, I assume you're into some jazz.
Yes, sir. Guilty as
Uh,
charged.
So I thought we would play a little game here that I think everybody here has probably played on one of our shows. Um, and I'm sorry, what was your friend's name as well?
This is Jonathan.
Jonathan. So if you guys want to both play this, you're more than welcome
Okay, let
to.
me get in here, man.
All right. So the game we are going to play is jazz or candy. I'm going to give you a name,
Okay.
and I need you to guess whether it is a jazz nickname or a vintage candy bar. All right.
Okay.
So are you in? You
Let's
ready?
do it. Let's do it, man.
All right. Number one, Jimmy Sticks.
Jazz.
Okay. That is a candy bar. It's a milk chocolate peanut butter covered pretzel sticks. All right, next we got Dipper Mouth. Is that a jazz musician or a vintage candy bar?
That's gotta be candy, right? What do we?
I think it's jazz.
Okay, jazz.
Okay, I was going to be really sad if you got that wrong because that is a nickname for Louis Armstrong.
No way.
Dipper Mouth.
Okay.
Oh yeah, one of many. Satchmo another, but Dipper Mouth is the only one that sounded like candy. Up next, By George.
Candy.
Are you sure about that? Is that your final answer?
I mean, what? What? What else can it be? You know?
It's a candy. It is a
Oh.
baked butter crisp coated in milk chocolate. I don't think they make those anymore.
So kind of a cool logo.
Right?
Yeah.
It looks like it could be the cover of a jazz album.
Kind of,
You
yeah.
just kind of extend the
You
maroon
could do
there.
an album that was like a compilation of songs by George Gershwin, but like all different artists. There we go, by George.
Yo, that's actually not a bad idea. I'd be into that.
Damn.
All right. Let's see. What about wrinkles? Interesting. Interesting spelling.
That's an interesting.
Is this a jazz musician or a vintage candy of some sort?
I'm gonna go. I mean, I think it's jazz, but I'm gonna go candy.
Jonathan, how about you?
I think it's jazz.
It is a vintage candy, so it is
Got 'em.
milk choc. All right, I got one more for you here.
Okay, okay.
This is the
Are we like 4 for 5 right now?
yeah,
Hot Lips.
you're doing pretty well. Hot lips, hot
Jimmy
lips.
Hot Lips Page.
How did you get that, man? That's incredible.
Damn.
Congrats.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
from the album or famous for the album Page and Mr. Page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So all joking aside, you picked one of the greatest jazz musicians I think known, and that is Miles Davis. Do you want to? Has he been a big inspiration to you, or are you just kind of into this style of music?
No, man. I mean, my the first thing I ever did was teach myself how to play jazz. I mean, that was my first love with music, really, and it was something I really focused on a lot, like when I first started learning my instrument. And then Miles, I mean, one of my biggest inspirations. I mean, I think all of us as musicians, he's probably up there. But he has the best like autobiography. I think it's so cool. If you haven't read it, you should check it out.
I haven't. I'll definitely have to. I love a good music or autobiography.
It's hilarious.
But this album specifically, I feel like is just so iconic, and it's just such a great. Like if someone if an alien comes down and they don't know what jazz is, I feel like this is probably one of the best to kind of hand them and be like, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, man. That's probably the one.
All right. Well, let's dive into flamenco sketches, and then we'll do the next block of songs, and we'll check in here before we wrap up. But thanks for playing, guys. I'm glad you killed it. You did
We
really
didn't
well
do
on
too
that.
bad. Yeah.
I tried to trick you, but you did a great job, guys. Good job. All right, here is Miles Davis. All right, that was the Black Keys. I got mine from Attack and Release, which is just such a killer album, man. So I just wanted to say, thanks to Walker for putting together tonight's playlist. We got a couple more, one from Walker and one from someone else that we're going to wrap up with. But thanks for coming to B-Sides and Beers. We do a bunch of different shows. This is just one of the many shows we do. Upcoming will be Saturday, May 29th. I'm going to be doing another B-Sides and Brunch, which is very similar to this, but with a little more trivia and just a little more fun. The next Crate Dig episode will be coming up in June, and that'll be with Jungle Green. Thanks again to Walker for putting together tonight's playlist. Definitely go check him out. He's a killer songwriter. As you've heard a few times tonight, there's a lot of really soulful tunes. And we're going to wrap up with one more of his off of his latest EP, his debut EP, My Love. I'm going to play Cindy here, but thanks, Walker, for putting together tonight's playlist. Something cool about this show is I feel like the playlists that are put together, we really get a feeling for who the artist is. So hopefully you've got a good feeling for who Walker is, and definitely go check him out and enjoy his tunes as you've enjoyed his playlist tonight. So thanks. Here is Cindy off of his debut EP, My Love.